The Magic snatch victory from the jaws of defeat in Portland to run their West Coast trip record to 2-2. We'll go over all the takeaways from both the Golden State game and the Portland game, as well as going by each box score to help us tell the whole story. From somewhere in Lisbon, Portugal, this is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Magic fans, by a Magic fan. I'm Edwin Valentine. I want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. You got to do the normal YouTube things. Hit that like, share this video, drop a comment below on how you felt the Magic played these past couple games. And if you want to do so, hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any content that I produce. So, long road trip coming off of the semifinal run in Las Vegas. So really, I know the Magic did go home between the end of the NBA Cup and this West Coast trip, but really they haven't been in front of the home fans for quite a while. So it felt like this is starting to drag on a little bit, this West Coast trip. But with them being shorthanded, you can tell that they were really starting to fray a little bit, especially when you go to that fourth game against Portland when they did play well. And the Magic have been very, very streaky. Like the Magic will play very well in most of these games. They played very well at the beginning of the Denver game. They played pretty well at the beginning of the Golden State game, as well as in Utah and in Portland. But the Magic just haven't been able to continually run through that tape, basically. So we'll go through each one of these last two games, but to start off, really the Golden State game, for me, the biggest takeaway from the Golden State game is that Paolo was good, but not great. And I talked about it in my last video when I talked about the first two games of the road trip, that really Paolo is doing well. Like he had a triple double in one of the Denver game, and he had almost another triple double in the Utah game. So it's not that he's not playing well. Obviously, he's playing well. It's just our expectations, I would say. I guess that's just ultimately what it's going to come down to. Him being the number one pick, him being in year 4. This is when normally they take their leap if you're going to be a super duper star. And right now, it's like a car, and he's stuck in neutral, or he's stuck in and only in the first gear, and we're expecting him to be flying down the highway right now. So I think that's mostly what it is, because again, we're gonna go through the box score. He had pretty good numbers. He's just not efficient, and I think that's the part where if you look at his counting stats, you're like, all right, he scored over 20 points, he has over 10 rebounds, like all the counting stats are there from what you want, especially with the team being shorthanded. We need points, we need rebounds, we need assists, we need all of that stuff without Jalen and Franz. It's just the efficiency. He's not shooting well enough. And then, especially when Desmond isn't playing well at all for whatever reason in some of the other games, then it really has to go all on him. And you can feel that he has that in his mind, like, oh, this used to be the way it is, but then no, I know that the guys played well when I wasn't there and they were passing the ball around, so I need to pass the ball around and not hold on to the ball the whole time. So I feel like he's kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out to the Paolo of old, and trying to fit what the team has been doing this year. So that's going to take time. I sound like a broken record, I guess, in that respect, that really he will. This is very much like what happened last year when he came back from injury. Obviously, he was out much longer, so it took a little bit longer, I think, for him to really start to get his footing. And again, if you look at his numbers are good. So it's not that he's putting up 10 points a game and that's all that Paolo's doing. That's not at all what's happening. He's scoring very well. He's doing what he needs to do. It's just we're expecting such wonderful things and such big things from him, and it's just not happening right now. And it really is just something that it feels just a little off. Just one little thing, and maybe it'll click all in place once we have at least Jalen in, because that's one of the things that a lot of people like to talk about, the record with Paolo only and the record with Franz only. A lot of the times Franz has had Jalen. So if we can get at least Jalen back for the start of this homestand, it's a quick homestand, only 2 games. But if we're able to get him in, then we can start to see how that goes. And against Jalen helps so many things, obviously the defense, but he does add a capable shooter who sometimes is streaky as well. But that's just an additional set of attributes that we don't necessarily have when he's also out of the game. Plus Tristan being out, plus Goga being out that last game, plus Ji being out a little earlier for the defense. So really, us being a mass unit in that way, I think that's the frustrating bit, or the frustrating bit about the beginning of the season when you were like, oh, everybody's healthy and we're losing games. We're gonna not be healthy at some point. It's just the way it is, and it's the NBA. Everybody deals with injuries, and man, we were dropping these games early on in the season when it made sense because we were incorporating some new pieces and new style. It's understandable why we were dropping those games, but it just stinks because now we've played the second hardest schedule. We've been battling. We've been able to get over 500. We're over 500 for a while now. It's just, man, if we would have been able to take a couple of those games from before, we would already be the third seed in the conference. And I think that's where it's a bit frustrating right now that we're not there. But anyway, back to the attribute of this game, or the key point from this game for me, it really was just Paolo, and how Paolo was good, not great in this game, where in Golden State and in a lot of these other games, when there is no Jalen and there is no Franz, we really need him to be trying to score 30 points a game, which it seems like he is with the amount of shots that he's taking. He's just unfortunately not able to hit any jump shots right now. He's still a little off right there. So hopefully it's rounding into form, and eventually he'll be able to start hitting those. But that really hasn't been his MO so far in his career, except in the playoffs. Boy, in the playoffs, he's able to hit every one of his shots. So hopefully, playoff P is what, oh, not playoff P, that ends up being Paul George. Playoff Paolo will end up being something that is able to start coming out a little bit more later on in this regular season before really kicking in during the playoffs. So that for me is that I'll have a video in the next week or so talking about should we just be reevaluating Paolo moving forward and not expect all NBA and expect what he's doing now to be what he is, and that should be an all-star. Like, he's had many double doubles, he's had a triple double, like he's been playing very well this year. Is it all NBA level? From what he's been playing so far, no, I wouldn't say this is all NBA level Paolo, but definitely All Star level Paolo. And we'll see if he continues this play and he has enough name recognition. Maybe he'll be able to make the All Star team. Because I think if the Magic are able to go on a little bit of a run here, since our schedule is going to start easing up a little bit, then if we start piling up wins, and now we're the third seed in the Eastern Conference, if we're able to catch Boston and pass them in the next few weeks, then it's more likely that the Magic would be able to have more than one All-Star. But right now, it's likely going to be only Franz, if Franz is able to get back soon in the next week or so and continue his play that he had earlier on in the season. So we shall see on that. But that's the first takeaway: is Paolo good, not great, especially in this Golden State game. The second one is Bane. Bane was better. His floor was better. Let's just say that, because we've seen a lot of highs from Desmond and we've seen a lot of lows from Desmond. A lot of single-digit games. A lot of games in which he just can't get the ball in the basket at all. So in this one, he at least scored 20 points. So he was someone that was able to help facilitate and help take some of the burden off of Paolo, but it definitely wasn't peak level Desmond, which is something that we shouldn't really be expecting him to score 37 points a game. That would be ridiculous. But still, a game like this is what we're looking for. And when we're more healthy, when we have some more bullets in the chamber, then we'll be able to actually really just take this floor level, hopefully floor level Desmond, and it'll just be something that we take. And with Tristan in, and with Franz in, and with Jalen in, and whomever else will be in, and who else will be out. We need these type of games from Desmond. So in the end, it was a pretty good game from Desmond. It wasn't a great game from Desmond. So that basically feels what this game was like. This game was just a good, not great. They played well at different points in the game. We played pretty well, and it shows that, again, we can compete with these teams. This Golden State team is a below 500 team, right? We're used to seeing Golden State, and I've talked about it many times. Narratives are hard to change, so people still think of Golden State even this year's Golden State team as the Golden State teams from the late 2010s, and they definitely are not that. They are a defensive team, which is interesting, and that's something that we saw. And I feel like the Magic were getting a little too frustrated with the no calls instead of just taking it to their advantage as well and just beating the crap out of the other team as well. But it seemed to affect them over the course of the rest of the game. And we also didn't have Draymond for large portions of the game as well because of their little tiff that happened between Kerr and Draymond. So there were just a lot of things that were going our way in some ways, and it just we just weren't able to really get over that hump. And it really was the loose balls, and we'll talk about that at the end as well. But the third takeaway for me is AB is really trying to find some consistency, and he seems to be finding consistency in his new role as starter. um I, he's still having a tough time around the rim at times, as well as with his shot. So he's looking for that consistency, but because he has a lot of time on the court and he has just ample opportunity, he's getting better. You can see he's getting better. You can see that he's putting in the work. And in the second game that we'll talk about a little later on, he played a much better game. So I like his aggressiveness. We all love his aggressiveness. That's the key word of the phrase. If this was the old Pee Wee's Playhouse, everybody would be like, "Wah!" for aggressiveness. And that's really all that we want from AB. And AB's playing well on that respect. Even if he doesn't have high scoring totals at times, we need him to get super comfortable with being the guy, especially when he's going to be the guy off the bench at once everybody starts getting healthy again. So we need him to understand that we need him to be aggressive, and that is just the way it is. So I really like that on there. The fourth takeaway, the Tyus and Jase conundrum continues. We can see that Jase is playing more minutes, and again, that's because Tyus is starting and there is no Jalen. So when Jalen comes back, then it will be interesting to start seeing the rotations and how the Magic start to deploy Jase a little bit more if Jase gets more playing time. Because we saw last year that Tristan, after a while, just started to kind of fade into the background, rotation wise. So we'll see. Jase is too good offensively, I feel, or too much of an impact, like microwave scorer than what Tristan is. Tristan's more of a slow burn, while Jase is more of a white hot scorer. So I think that's going to be something that'll be interesting. Jase played pretty well in this game in double figures again. So Tyus, however, has been more aggressive in these last couple of games, which is great. That's what we want. It's like, it's not only that, okay, he shot, he didn't make any baskets in this game, scored 0 points again, and that is what it is. But it's the fact that he went 0 for 1 in a game or 0 for 2 in a game, and that's all he's providing. So he understands the assignment right now. He knows that he needs to shoot more, and we'll talk about it in the Portland game, how well he played there. But even in this game here in Golden State, as nothing too spectacular. Jase feels it felt more like Jase was the more aggressive player in this one, and that's normally what's going to happen. Jase is just that kind of firecracker that is more in the Cole Anthony realm of scorer. So just with a better shot. So we'll see if Jase is able to continue to eat into Tyus's minutes, especially when Jalen is able to come back and start playing again. So we shall see. The bench, not much in this one. Like it just wasn't. It just wasn't the bench's best game. Let's say again, we're shorthanded, and we're shorthanded not only in starters but also on the bench. So these are the kind of games that sometimes just happen. It's not it just wasn't their day, and that's just is what it is. Jace was the only one really that did anything off the bench in this one, at least that was such a high impact. Like Noah was a high impact in Utah, and we'll talk a little bit about him in the Portland game. But this game just didn't have it, and that's just what's going to be for some of the young guys at times. It's that they have the potential to do great things, but then there's just going to be some times where they don't got it, and it just is what it is. The Magic only scoring 97 points is always going to be a bit of a surprise, even It would have been a surprise even last year because even though it was difficult for them to score at times. Still, scoring less than 100 points in the NBA this day and age is still a bit surprising. So, not a great game in that respect. And I think a lot of hats to go off to the Golden State Warriors. Right, as I said before, they are a defensive team. They were a defensive team before, so I know everybody's going to be like, "Oh, well, they used to play defense before when they were winning championships." Yeah, to an extent, but they were just you don't think of that team as a lockdown defensive team, even though they do have good players and they have had good defensive players over the course of their championship runs. They're all about the defense now, especially because their offense really isn't that great. It's really mostly let's watch Curry do a bunch of cool Curry things. And since the team is going to freak out about Curry, which is this is the my final takeaway from this game is we're all going to freak out about Curry. So we're all 10 eyes of the defenders are going to be looking at Curry, and then oops, there goes Jackson Hayes for an easy layup. Oh, we're all going to be looking at Curry. Oh, there goes Pajemski with the back door. Oh, we're all going to be looking at Curry, and this other guy scores, right? So even Jimmy played pretty well in this game, but it just wasn't. I don't know. Jimmy Butler now, even in Golden State, like he's just at a different point in his career that it's not as impactful as Curry still is. And everything revolves around Curry in Golden State. And it felt like we were so antsy about Curry. And it makes sense because if he starts going off, then it just feels like an avalanche and you're drowning. You could be up 5 and all of a sudden you're down 15 from, a 4-minute Curry flurry. So, I think that's going to be the takeaway from this game. At least we're done with them this year. We don't got to worry about Curry anymore. There's other great players in the NBA, but the way they score is different. This feels different when you're playing Curry, and thankfully we're done with that, and we don't got to worry about it for the rest of the year because that is definitely a challenge. So to go through the box score, we can see that, like I said, Desmond scored 20 points in the game in his 33 minutes. He shot 50% from the field, 8 of 16, 2 of 2 from 3. The Magic, I think, are undefeated when he hits more than 3 threes in a game. Why don't you keep shooting the threes? Just keep on shooting them. Obviously, we're not going to always be undefeated, but hey, let's keep riding that statistic until we finish, right? So 2 of 2 from 3, which is that's great. Obviously, we need more 3-point shots from Desmond. There's, if you look at the whole entire team, the only one that shot more than 4 3-pointers was AB, right? So 27 3-point shots isn't going to cut it in the NBA. So, yeah, anyway, if anybody's been watching my videos, go back to my old videos. I talk about it all the time. Now the math is going pretty well on our side. We really are giving up so few threes over the course of a game that we've bumped our numbers up enough that we're basically about even, and that's important, right? Because we're going to score in the paint. That is just one of the things that we do. So if we're able to limit other teams' 3-point makes and 3-point attempts, which is helping that, then we really are able to kind of to stay in the games, and that's why we are where we are at right now. And again, a lot of that is all these stats that we have are even with having the second most difficult schedule so far in the NBA this year. So, anywho, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. He missed a free throw, Desmond. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers, and that's it for his time in the Golden State game. Paolo in 34 minutes scored 21 points, 7 of 19 from the field. Again, not really the most efficient. And there's just so often where, yeah, there's a guy between him and the basket. 8 free throws he shot in this game. He should be over 10 free throws a game, and I know it's physically taxing, and this is something that I mentioned in his player profile earlier in the year, that constantly going into guys, constantly bumping into guys, it is exhausting and it will take its toll. He's 22 years old, so you'd hope he'd be able to take it on now as opposed to later on. And after a few more years of developing that jump shot, you would hope he would just be barreling in there relentlessly. It doesn't seem that is what's happening right now. he really wasn't cutting all that much in this game. He just was settling. He was just settling for these jumpers, and that's what gets frustrating. I feel as a Magic fan who's hoping the best for Paolo. We want him to be the best version of himself, and that's like we're not. No one is basically trying to will him to be playing poorly. That's not what we're doing. We want Paolo to play well, and he just right now is just not playing the most efficient basketball. And again, he's 19 shots in this one. This was old Paolo. It felt like a couple of years ago Paolo, where he still was able to dish out 7 assists. So it's not that he was ball hogging or anything like that, but it just he felt like he knew he needed to score more because Desmond was there along for the ride with him. AB was along for the ride for him, but other than that, there wasn't many other guys ready to meet on the challenge, and Paolo had to take it on himself. And unfortunately, he missed a little too often on there. 0 of 4 from three. His 3-point shot still isn't there, unfortunately, and it's crazy. Paolo's shot doesn't look bad. We always talk about Franz's hitch, but Franz is still hitting his jumpers more than Paolo hits his jumpers. So that's one of the interesting things I feel like. The narrative of Franz is that he's got this crazy hitch and he can't shoot, but Paolo's the one that has a pretty fluid shot and he just can't hit any of his shots right now. Anyway, 7 of 8 from the free throw line, so he's hitting his free throws, so he can shoot. It's just it doesn't feel like he's stable normally. He doesn't go straight up. It always feels like he's twisting or turning or doing something else, and that looks fancy and it would be a good highlight. But it just we want him to spot up, and when he spots up, I feel he shoots a little bit better. Not saying he shoots incredibly well in any form right now, but it just him being more stationary, I think, would be able to help for him to hit some of these shots. And hey, look at that, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Shows that even when he's standing still, he has the good form enough to be able to hit majority of his shots. 12 rebounds in this one, so another double-double for Paolo. 7 assists, only 3 assists away from another triple-double. So again, he's playing super well. It just there's just something off. There's just something, and I think that's what it is. It's just the efficiency. You see him miss more than he makes, so you feel like he's not playing as well as he is, but he is playing well. So it is what it is. And 4 turnovers. So that probably also gets under people's skin the more they watch that, unfortunately. Wendell, 9 points in 28 minutes, 3 of 8, 0 of 3 from threes. It's probably the worst shooting game of Wendell's season. 3 of 4 from the free throw line, only 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 turnover for Wendell. He was very much a non-factor in this game, unfortunately. And this is one of those games that you would hope he'd be able to assert himself a bit more, because the numbers say one thing, but the eye test say something different. The Magic, it feels that we're just getting out rebounded every night, right? Like that's not what the stats say. The stats say that the Magic are actually one of the better rebounding teams. They're definitely in the top half, and they're in the top 10 in rebounding. But man, there's so often that Wendell unfortunately ends up with a small number there, and it just feels like we're getting dominated on the boards. Utah had a bunch of second chance opportunities, and Portland we'll talk about a little later on. Golden State, there just feels like we're not getting offensive rebounds and we're not rebounding. But again, if you look at the numbers, we had 16 offensive rebounds. Wendell had 2 of them, so we're doing it. It feels like it has to be a team thing as opposed to just Wendell taking things on and just being that person that gets the majority of our rebounds, and it ends up having to be more gang rebounding, and I think that's why that feels that way. AB in his 30 minutes scored 19 points, 8 of 12 shooting from the field, so very good, nice efficient game from AB. 2 of 5 from the 3-point line, so 3-pointers coming along. I think he's going to be a streaky one. He's still young, 21 years old, so he's going to be streaky, I feel, the rest of this year, and eventually he'll start to be a bit more consistent. And we're looking for consistency, aggression more than anything, because his aggression is going to lead to positive things happening, but we want a little more consistency if possible. 1 of 3 from the free throw line, maybe that's where we need to find a consistency. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 2 turnovers for AB. Tyus in 25 minutes scored 7 points, 2 of 6 from the field, 6 shots, that's a good number for Tyus. We need him to be aggressive in that respect. 1 of 3 from three. His 3-point shot has come along. It is in the last few games. Obviously, he's really starting to hit shots. Definitely hit from three. He's hitting a floater here and there, every so often, really at this point. So Tyus is starting to come along. So that's definitely a positive thing for the Magic. So 1 of 3 from three from Tyus, 2 from 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, and only 1 turnover for Tyus. So a very very good game for it's incredible for the way he's played before, but still this is a very good game for Tyus, and this is the kind of this performance I feel should be the floor for Tyus. Sure, he can score 5 points or 4 points or something like that, but 6 shots, hitting a 3-point shot, 4 assists, like that is what Tyus should be. And hopefully, even when Jalen's able to come back and Tyus doesn't get 25 minutes, because only 7 points in 25 minutes, not the most, effective necessarily, but still, we need Tyus to be this aggressive. So maybe we should just be moving the aggressive title from a B at this point and me more for Tyus. So we'll see. Jet was the first one off the bench in 18 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 4 from the field, 0 of 3 from three, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Jet in the last couple games just hasn't had it. And what we've seen, and it's something that Weltman said in media day, and it's definitely coming to fruition right now, is basically if you're able to play, then you're going to play. So we've seen guys start to play well, and they get minutes the rest of the game. So it's been very very interesting to see. And Jet didn't have it in this one, so that's all 2 points for Jet in that one. Jase, 22-ish minutes, 11 points, 5 of 11 from the field. Like I said, he's going to be our microwave. He's going to be our white hot, just microwave scorer. 1 of 3 from three, 2 of 4 from. Sorry, he ended up with 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers with no assists. So that's not great, and something he's going to have to get better at as a point guard. If he's going to, well, he will eventually have to be the point guard of the future, at least our backup point guard of the future. So that wasn't great in there, but again, 11 points, and he was there for instant offense. Noah at 5 points in 15 minutes, 2 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 from three. I love the confidence that Jase and Noah are presenting. Like they are just coming in and they are playing. Like, yeah, you kind of had to dust them off because they weren't playing for most of the games so far this year. But given the opportunity, they are balling out. 1 of 2 from three, no free throws, 4 rebounds, and a turnover for Noah. So not as impactful necessarily as the Utah game, but definitely making an impact when he gets on the court. Goga in 14 minutes. I think Goga might have been already starting to deal with whatever injury kept him out of the Portland game. But Goga, 2 points in 14 minutes, 0 of 3 from the field, 2 free throws though, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block for Goga. JI, 12 minutes in this one, 1 point, 0 of 2 from the field, 0 of 1 from three, 1 of 4 from the free throw line. So Jonathan's just not having a great year shooting the basketball again. 4 rebounds, 1 steal for JI. And again, if he's not going to be able to score, if he's not going to be able to do really anything other than play defense, then that defense has got to be lights out. And unfortunately, he also seems just a bit slow right now, a bit like a step slow, or half a step slow. And right now, his defense isn't making the impact that it needs to if he's going to be such a liability on offense. And lastly, Jamal Cain, our two-way player, was able to get some minutes in this one, and he also gets a few minutes in the next game as well. 4 minutes in this game, 0 of 3 from the field, 0 of 1 from three for 0 points, and he had a turnover. So as you see, the last three guys from our bench there have 0 of 3, 0 of 2, 0 of 3. So not really a lot of bench help in this one. The Magic only scored 97 points on 41% shooting from the field, 26% from three, 69% from the free throw line. 16 offensive rebounds, though. 21 assists is not great. So it just wasn't a great game all around for the Magic in this one. So it stinks, but it's just one of those things. Now, for the after going 1-2 to start the West Coast trip, then okay, we really needed to get that Portland game, because if we don't have that Portland game, then we end up with 1-3 record in the West Coast trip. We lose to Portland. That's a gettable game, and we really can't be losing gettable games. The Golden State game was a gettable game. They were a team under 500, and we haven't had too many games against teams versus that were under 500. So 3 in a row. We were hoping to sweep to three, but we didn't. So hopefully we're able to get that Portland game. Now the takeaways from me in that Portland game, again, everything is going to be about Paolo, right? The number one take from everything is going to be Paolo. It's going to be like Martian. We got Paolo. Now he was a facilitator in this one, so I know there was a question asked of Mosley after the game, like, does he feel okay with Paolo only shooting 8 times? Low key, I feel like this was probably not okay. Maybe not his best game of the season, but I think it was one of his best games of the season, and it's because he wasn't shooting shots that he felt he needed to shoot. He really played within the offense. He was the offense in a lot of ways. He was the facilitator. Basically, the ball would come to him. They were really making sure that he didn't score, or that at least they were putting so much attention onto Paolo that he had no other choice but to facilitate. And he did a pretty good job of facilitating. And even though he doesn't have a lot of assists in this game, a lot of hockey assists. So it would be him getting the ball out to AB, and AB makes that extra pass. Him getting the ball out to Desmond, and Desmond makes that other pass. So I think low key, this is one of the best games of the year for Paolo, because it was all within the offense. He didn't force anything. He wasn't just jacking up those 20-footers with a guy near him, and it I thought it was pretty good actually. Like, weirdly, I know that feels wrong to say, and it is what it is, but I don't know, I felt like Paolo played really well in that Portland game, in the way that he was facilitating at all times and not being the person that has to, or feels like he has to be the one to always just be shooting or jacking up shots for whatever reason. So I I liked it. So for me, only 8 shots, not a problem. He cut as well, and I think that was the most interesting things. A lot of the baskets that he did get were off of cuts, and he wasn't staying still. He wasn't just staying on the perimeter or just only trying to post up. I know there's some old heads out there that are like, oh, he needs to be on the block and post up and all of that. And there are not that many players that have had as many opportunities as Paolo in the post and have a better points per possession in the post that Paolo does, but still, like, sometimes I feel like he may not always make the right decisions when he has too much time. I really think Paolo needs to use his instincts more and just go for it and just be more decisive and take the ball and take the ball to the basket, cut like he did here. I loved it. He surveys a little too much, and that's the thing that I feel like he needs to do. Because when Franz is driving to the basket, you see he's either going to try to move the ball, and if he decided he's going to take that ball to the basket, he's just trying to find the angle, and he's dribbling and he's doing that. Paolo will grab the ball and just kind of survey the scene, look at it. The defender comes closer. They were able to tip the ball away in the Golden State game while he had the ball up, and it just feels like it's a little too slow in that respect. But if he was going to do the same thing and he's just looking at the guy and he's gonna take him, he's got to tighten up that dribble a little bit so the guy's not able to strip it. And his spin move, it always feels like the defender is like right in his lap when he does the spin move. So just decisively go. I think that's what I want more out of Paolo, but it is what it is. Desmond Bane, a game winner, this time on defense against Portland. So basically, if you didn't see it, he in the last minutes, the Magic were clinging to a lead at that point, and then Donovan Clingan ends up getting blocked from behind by Desmond. So he's been blocking shots lately. It's almost like he's Jalen out there playing defense. So very, very good on that respect. So Bane again, he had a team high in points in this one. So to get the floor, but he didn't score 37 points. We're not looking for 37 points all the time. When it happens, it's great, but we need a good floor from him. High teens, low 20s in points. Shoot the three well, or shoot the three at least, to again create that gravity to give Paolo a little more space, because Paolo didn't have space again in this game, as well as the last couple of games without Franz and without Jalen. It just felt like the defense was contracting on him at all times, and it just didn't feel like he had enough space to be able to get the dribble down well enough for him to start his drive. So that's why I liked what he did in this one. He basically just got the ball out again, boom, 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 and then again would get the hockey assist if that's how they did the scoring in the NBA. Tyus, best game with the Magic by far. So Tyus was all over it in this one, and he scored. He was super aggressive. His shot was falling. So again, I talked about it, that his shot is starting to fall, and that's really going to be something that we need over the course of the year. So 30 games. It only took 30 games, so we're more than a third through the season, but we still got 2/3 of the season left, and hopefully those 2/3 we have a Tyus that's shooting over 40% from 3-point again, and same thing for Desmond, but definitely Tyus played super well, and for me it was the shot was falling, and I think the best play for me from Tyus in this one was the defense he played on the Sharp, I believe it's the guy's name from Portland. Like, he was backing him down, and and Tyus like stood his ground. It was almost like he was thicker. You know how I always talk about how Jase is a thicker boy, and it just, even though he's shorter, he has longer arms and he's thicker, so he has a few more tools defensively than Tyus does. Tyus stood his ground well and made him shoot a fall away jumper that he missed. So it was great defense by Tyus on Sharp, and it was a all around game. This is, again, we don't need this many points from Tyus. More along the line of the 7 points that he had in the last game. That's the floor. So if we can have anything better than what he had in the Golden State game, which was this game here, he had more than the floor. Then we're gonna take that all day. And this is who we were hoping to have from Tyus all along. And again, the bench struggled in this one. They really didn't have much contribution. Even Jase didn't feel as aggressive as he has been so far every time he's been given an opportunity. So not entirely sure what happened in this one. I know the Portland team, it feels like they're really trying to make sure Jase is succeeding. So that's been the interesting thing so far, which is great. But sometimes you got to throw him into the wolves a little bit just to see how he reacts. And he did play some minutes in this one. He just didn't feel as aggressive, and he didn't feel as connected to the game. He just kind of felt like he was floating in and out a little bit in this one, which is a little unfortunate. But Noah was the best contributor off the bench, and he was just doing Noah things, aggressive as all get out, which again is something that we want to see. I would much rather a guy come in and be super duper aggressive, and you try to, take him, slow him down a little bit, than having to light a fire under somebody and have them go up. So for me, I'd rather have that, and really Noah was out there spotting up anytime he had the basket, and he was open, and that's the defense. If the defensive philosophy for Portland was basically to just all out on Paolo, so Noah was open, and Noah, his career will be open, and if he's going to be on the Magic, just because we have so many other offensive players. So he needs to be able to knock down those 3-point shots from the corner, which is what he was given all game. And his shot is straight, which is great. He's just not, he was a bit short on a few of them, but he just kept on shooting, and he hit a big one a little bit later on in the game. So if we go through the box score for this one here, yeah. So we have Desmond, 35 minutes in this one, 23 points in the game, 6 of 15 shooting. Not bad, but 4 of 7 from 3. This is what we want. This is what we need. We need 7 3-point shots from Desmond every single game. And if he hits one, he hits one, which is a couple games ago. I think that's what he shot. That's fine, but I'd rather have him shoot to 7, because it's just going to open things up all over the place for him. 7 of 7 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. A big game from Desmond. Paolo with 12 points in his 36 minutes, 4 of 8 from the field. Like I said, I love it. super efficient. He cut multiple times, got easy baskets at the rim. So for me, 4 of 8, I'll take it. Like obviously, I want him to score more. Obviously, I want him to be. He was super involved in this game. So for me, if you just looked at these numbers, you'd be like, oh, maybe he wasn't engaged. He was super engaged. He played the most minutes of anybody in this game. So he was very engaged. He played, I felt, like I said, probably one of his better games. So I like this game. And no 3-point shots. I like that as well. If he's not going to make it, don't shoot him. 4 of 4 from the free throw line for 6 rebounds, 3 assists for Paolo. I like this game from Paolo. Obviously, this is his floor. Everything he needs to build up upon it. Like they've talked about also in media days, you want to stack wins, you want to stack different things, and this is the way that it happens. So hopefully, this is again the basement really for Paolo, not the floor, the basement. Wendell, 14 points in this one, in 30 minutes, 5 of 11 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Again, against the Klingen, Wendell is always going to feel small. We didn't rebound as well in this one. It's just everybody feels a bit slow, and it's understandable. Like they're all in different roles right now, and some guys are playing that didn't normally get this much opportunity. So a lot of loose balls are just falling through the cracks for the Magic, and this is another one of those games that happened, and that's partially why they were able to make a comeback. Portland was the same thing as what happened in Utah. It was just these balls, these random 50-50 balls. Oh, and Golden State, these random 50-50 balls were just popping weirdly and just were getting out of the Magic hands and going to the other team, and then they would be wide open for a 3, or they would get a breakaway dunk or something like that. So it is just what it is at times, and we just hope that we get better at that. AB, 22 points on 8 of 21 from the field. So AB, with Paolo not shooting as often, AB was like, I'll take those. So good on AB for shooting not efficiently, but shooting 4 of 8 from 3-point range. That's what I'm talking about. 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers, which is always something that's unfortunately going to happen with AB. That's why I'd rather him be the secondary ball handler, and that looks like what was happening. Paolo was getting the ball over to AB, and AB was making a lot of plays, and we know that AB can do that. I'd rather him be the 3/D. So hitting them threes like this, slashing to the basket, getting dunks, and playing good defense. Tyus, in his 35-ish minutes, scored 16 points on 6 of 9 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, no turnovers. That's what I'm talking about. Tyus, great game. This is over what we expect from Tyus. And now, if he's going to start multiple games, we know Jalen's not. This is not going to be the only time Jalen's going to be injured this year. So if Tyus is going to be the one to jump in in the starting lineup, then hopefully he continues to have these type of numbers when he starts. Obviously, he's not always going to shoot so efficiently, but if he comes off the bench, or when he comes off the bench, if he can be more like that other game, about 7-ish points, that would be ideal. Noah was the first one off the bench in this game. 8 points in his 24-ish minutes. 3 of 10 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. So he was able to hit that. Like I said, he hit that second one later on in the game after going 0 of 3, 0 of 4 from 3. So Noah just kept doing it. And again, he's young, but he's been a professional for a while. So you can see he's not afraid to put his imprint into the game. 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 3 turnovers for Noah. So that's not great on there. But again, you're going to take some growing pains from some of our young guys. J.I. was the next one to come in. In his 16 minutes, 3 of 5 from the field for 9 points. So we had a season high from Tyus, and we had a season high from J.I. in this one. So we needed all hands on deck for this win, and it was great that we got it. 0 of 1 from 3, 3 of 4 from the free throw line to get it, J.I. 2 rebounds, 1 steal, and that's pretty much all for J.I. Jase, in only 11 minutes, scored only 2 points, 1 of 2 from the field, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover. So Jase didn't force anything, which is great. We want him to at least, again, acclimate a little bit more into the offense. we want him to be more of an initiator. So that I think was a bit of surprise. But instead of him being the initiator, it was Noah, because Noah was the one that was open, wide open at times, and he knew he just needed to shoot, and he was the one that shot it. So Noah had most of Jase's shots in this one, which again, I'm okay with Noah feeling comfortable enough to shoot because he knows he needs to shoot, and that's what I'm sure all the coaching staff is telling him. So he's like, "Cool, you say to shoot it with confidence, boo, I'm gonna shoot it with confidence." So that was all from Jase in this one. Jet only 4 minutes in this one, 0 points, 0 of 2 from the field, 0 of 1 from three. Yeah, Jet in the last two games hasn't been involved much into the game plan. Uh, don't know why necessarily, just unfortunate. And Jamal ended up with 12 minutes in this game. Jamal Kane, our two-way player, 4 points, 1 of 2 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, and had 2 steals. So we know he's going to bring the defensive energy. So I think that was something that, with all the wings that Portland had, they definitely were the team. This was the team that we could use him very, very much on, because he's gonna be he's a pit bull in that respect. He's gonna be the guy that's gonna put hands on the other players, and Jamal came through with positive in points as well, 5 plus minus. He had a plus minus of 5 in the game, so he was definitely a positive on the team. So the Magic really were able to gut that last one out, and it was something that we were hoping to at least have the split to 2-2. We were hoping we might have been able to get out of there with 3-1, and if we could have stolen that Denver game, that would have been great. But over the course of the 4 games, it feels like the Magic are continuing to figure out how to win without Jalen and without Franz. Now, they had this situation last year, but there's a couple guys on the team that are new, so it's just it's good to see that they're really starting to figure out how to play with the adversity that they're playing with so far. The last 2 years have basically been adversity for the Magic. That's just what has been built, and that's been part of their DNA now. So let's hope that the two guys are able to make it back pretty soon, maybe right around the Toronto game, if it's not going to be in either one of the 2 games in this homestand here. So we'll see if the guys are able to come back. But the team, you can see, rallied. They were working hard. They try. They have effort. So we could be nothing but proud of this team. I love rooting for this team. This team has been very, very good in at least making the games interesting. Even if they're down big, then they try to make a big comeback. Or if they're up big, then unfortunately they've been sliding a little too often for my taste. So at least they make it interesting each game so far, and let's just hope that the guys get healthy and we get Tristan back. Even though he wasn't playing well, Tristan is a key component to this game, and maybe his shoulder injury, it was something that was starting to hinder him, and that's why he wasn't playing as well in the last couple games. So we'll see, and yeah, that's pretty much all that we can say about that in this one. So. You let me know what you thought of the last couple games, and let's say the whole West Coast trip. Well, how do you feel the Magic are playing? Do you like Paolo as the facilitator? Are you okay with him only shooting 8 shots? I know there's a lot of talk on Twitter about the Magic and Paolo specifically. So you let me know what you think. And as always, like, share, drop that comment. And if you want to do so, hit that subscribe so you don't miss any content that I produce. So I hope you had a very Merry Christmas and you were able to spend a lot of time with family. And I really appreciate you clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. I hope you're having a great night.